Welcome back. Let's learn about hooks and also teach you how the process should be when you learn something new with a library. Because again, your job as a programmer is to be really good at problem solving, be able to adapt to changes and solve problems. So let's say hooks was just introduced to React. The very first thing I would recommend to do is to read the documentation, but more importantly, read the motivation. Why did the library add this? Why did React decide to add this thing called hooks? Now we see over here that they're a new edition as of 16.8. And if you're watching this video now, there's probably a way later version of React. So as long as you're using this version or higher, you're going to be able to use this new feature. Now, I'm not going to read through the entire documentation for you, but I do want to point out one thing. The number one thing I do when I look at a library and see some of the new changes, I want to look at the motivation. Why did they add it? So if I scroll down, look at that. They have the motivation. Why do we need hooks in the first place? Now, sometimes to learn what the motivation is, you have to actually understand the library and have used it before. And hopefully by now you're comfortable with React. So let's just go through the motivation quickly, and then we'll get to coding because I know that's the exciting part and that's when we'll actually learn. But the three things to keep in mind is that one, with the ways that we've used React up until now, it's really hard to do this. Reuse stateful logic. What does that mean? Well, if we had some logic of, let's say, changing state in our class components, sometimes if we want to do something similar in another component, it's a little harder to do with the way that we had it before. Hooks makes this a little bit easier. Again, something that we'll see shortly. Next is that complex components become hard to understand. You see, as components become bigger and bigger, especially class ones with component did mount, component did update, component will unmount, all these lifecycle hooks, things that can happen within a component. Hooks make things a little bit cleaner. You can see over here, hooks let you split one component into smaller functions based on what pieces are related. Again, hard to really understand unless we code it. But the biggest motivation, and I think this is something that a lot of people overlook when talking about hooks, is that some people find classes confusing. This keyword, the bind function that we have to do. Classes are just daunting for some people, such as doing super props. Why do we do that in a class? So hooks allow us to not use classes, not use the this keyword in our React applications. And another major reason that is overlooked is that React wants to do something called ahead of time compilation one day, hopefully for performance, something that things like Svelte, Angular, and Glimmer do. And by not having classes, it makes this easier for them to do so. But you know what? This is a lot of talk, a lot of gibberish, maybe hard to understand. I think the best way to learn about hooks is to actually convert our RoboFriends app from using class components to using hooks. And I'll show you what that means in the next video.